NZ Aerosports, Icarus Canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever. So if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst you legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus Canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight. Hey gang, so I got a new book out. It's called The Upside of Fear, and it's exactly what you think it's about. It's about the good side of, well, getting scared. In it, we talk not only about the science and biology behind fear, but the psychology as well. And it's not just coming from me, it's coming from some of the best in the sport. Omar Alhigelan, Jeff Provenzano, Maxine Tate, and so many more have contributed their sometimes terrifying stories to the book to help you overcome your fear. So head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com. You're going to find the link to the book there, as well as the other books. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook right now.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! Back in the can for another special edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. And before we even say who you are, cheers. Salute. We'll do this properly.
Nice noise.
Who the fuck are you guys? And what do you do?
Yes, hello Dean, thank you for welcoming tonight. So it's Airwax back in the game. So Greg Rosier, Karin Jolie, and tonight we're here also with Yuan Kowi, the best photographer in the world.
Disclaimer, may not actually be true.
I don't know. I've seen your work, man. It's pretty fucking good.
Okay.
It's pretty fucking good. So look, it is not every day that I get world champions sitting in my studio. So it's pretty fucking cool having you, especially since you brought really nice wine with you.
Thank you. Yeah, the occasion was so cool. We brought actually 2006 prom roll. Very nice.
Please.
That's my favorite wine.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Now, I want to get into it relatively quickly because you guys have been busy as hell, especially considering the last time we talked, none of us had a fucking clue what was coming next. So, since we last spoke, you've been moving.
Yes. The first thing for us was the jumping over the pyramids again. So it was kind of a test for us. We were locked down again with everybody, of course, obviously in Europe, and we said, there is no way this thing can work.
Right.
How can we be allowed to jump in Egypt if it's not allowed to go just in Italy or Spain, And it happened. It was allowed. We were allowed to go there. So we say, okay, let's go back on our life as much as we can, and we started to travel again.
And I've been keeping up with you quite a bit, and you've hit some pretty, come on, some pretty jealous-worthy spots you guys have been to. You jumped over the pyramids, you're landing on gold sandy beaches, you're flying over stellar fucking sand dunes. Fill me in, because I haven't gone anywhere.
So just after the pyramids, we decided to open the book again and say, let's see where we could go. Karin decided to take us for New Year's in Brazil, and we actually stayed there 2 months. Do you want to talk about that?
Please.
Yeah, I used to live in Brazil for 2 years, a long time ago, 2005 to 2007, and I completely fell in love with the country and the people and the warmth of the country, obviously. So, since I hate cold and my body also, I always try to get my butt in the sun during the winter in Europe.
Nice.
And I know Brazil is a very sweet destination because first it's a huge country, so you can do a lot of things. If you go into the north, you can kite surf, which we did. It was really cool.
Nice.
Some really sweet spots. And then we went to have New Year's Eve in close to Foz do Iguaçu.
Okay.
Iguaçu Falls. And over there we had the best welcoming, and obviously the country wasn't in lockdown, so we were able to jump.
Nice.
Pretty much every day we wanted to. And after that we've been to another boogie called Eternal. And we also managed to sneak some jumps in, even though they had sometimes red code area where they need to shut down for the weekend. The week they can still operate. So for skydivers and camp, it was okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we sneak into Rio as well, Rio de Janeiro, for some heli jumps. Greg actually managed to get some authorization so we could jump over Copacabana, which was amazing.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yes. Actually, there was something that I had in mind since we got to jump over the pyramids. I was like, how cool it will be if we can get to jump in other amazing, exclusive places in the world. So obviously, when you think Brazil, you think Rio de Janeiro. I don't know what about you, but
sure, of course,
that's Rio de Janeiro.
Course.
So if we can get to jump over Copacabana, that would be the best fucking thing to do there.
Yeah.
So it was hard, even with all the connections we have over there. And actually a friend of us, very good friend of Luigi Cani, who is the most famous, obviously, Brazilian skydivers over there. And he got us a permission thanks to the Ministry of Defense. It took us 3 weeks to get this permission. Unfortunately, jumping beginning of February there was very tricky because we have to stop to jump at 5:35. 5:35, which is actually 5 minutes, exactly 5 minutes before the sunrise. So it was a little bit frustrating because every time we landed, we get finally the good light. But
sure,
Yuan's gonna tell us more about this thing.
Yeah, so that's pretty fucking tricky because not that being a photographer in free fall isn't already tricky at times, but now you're fighting light and restrictions like that. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. I must say.
Wait, you're not French?
No.
The fuck was that accent?
You might hear as I drink more wine that I sound more Scottish.
Awesome. That's
Sorry
what yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, so you were saying.
Yeah, so it was one of the trickier shots from the kind of basic photography point of view of, you have limited light, so, you have to pump up the ISO a bit higher, put the shutter speed as low as you can, but still avoid the blurriness of because free fall is a lot of vibration, so you need to have a minimum shutter speed so that you keep it sharp, things like that. And then, like Greg said, it was frustrating. We would land, and basically 5 minutes after that, it would be beautiful sunrise,
Right.
Man, come on. And also the frustrating thing was the airport didn't open until 6 a.m., so they were just being super cautious, basically, and not allowing us to have a little bit more freedom.
And we were freezing out our ass off. The helicopter was without doors, so all the way up, even though it was pretty quick, was super cold. in this time of the night.
Yeah.
It was really, really
We
cool.
had to like hug Karine basically to keep her warm. And
What
unfortunately,
did you do to have a hug, huh?
yeah. But also the camera lenses got very cold, which meant as we got lower and the humidity was very high,
Sure.
basically the lenses would fog up every
Sure.
time. So yeah, that was a very tricky situation, but we made it work.
I mean, it had to be. Although I can't imagine, like when I had to years and years ago, when I had to deal with shit like things getting fuzzy in free fall, we were wearing huge, baggy, enormous suits that flop all over the place. And fuck you guys, you're good enough flyers that you're wearing skin tight suits that don't move anywhere. So that made it easier. So points off for the pictures for that shit.
But actually, they were shorty suits. That's one of the reasons Karine was so cold.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you are in Brazil. You can't jump in. I mean, of course you're going to be in short
Yeah,
suits.
that's the thing. Nobody's gonna believe us anyway. I know.
We had to pretend it was really comfy and really warm.
Yeah.
Of course, well, but that's the illusion, right? Part of it is creating an illusion. You want to be able to put this amazing photo up, and it's supposed to be as cool as that image was, right?
And try and Photoshop out the tiredness of getting up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, we looked really, really tired. But yeah, again, it was just the best experience ever, and it was another proof for us that we can do it. We can actually, it requires extra work, extra authorization and stuff, but we can actually help promoting our sport doing this kind of thing. So it was a very big success in this way, for sure.
This actually segues me into a question that we talked about before the podcast, which is teams and skydivers having to self-promote. And it's not just for sponsorship, but it's also because skydiving now has become pretty mainstream. You know, I mean, you see it in a lot of places that you wouldn't have ever seen it before. And it started way back in the day with one of my recent guests, Troy Hartman, who did a Super Bowl commercial flying with geese. You know, I mean, it was stuff like that kind of began, but now it's all about self-promotion. And you guys are really good at maintaining a big social media presence. And of course, with the photographs and the video that you're shooting and the performances that you guys are putting on, you've got a lot to work with, but once you're on the ground, it's still a fuckload of work, you know? I mean, so how do you go about it? Because I fucking hate it. It's so hard.
That's not the easiest part of the skydiving, but it's part of the skydiving. As you become an athlete, you don't have to be world champion. To me, everybody is doing international competition and anything that you want to do to promote skydiving in general.
Sure.
It's kind of your responsibility to work on this way as well, because if we want the world to take us seriously, we have to take us seriously as well.
Sure.
So to me, this time we're supposed to spend on Facebook, Instagram, and maybe now TikTok, it's really important. Yeah, it can be funny sometimes, like, yeah, you do this thing, it's extra work, you just to show yourself and stuff, but it's not for that reason. It's for sharing the non-skydiving people what we do, because if we don't do this connection, nobody else is going to do it for us.
Yeah.
And for sure, like the skydiving has still this really, really bad image. I mean, especially in France, I don't know in other countries, but when you say you're a skydiver, you're still like a reckless person trying to kill yourself every time you jump from an airplane and everything. So it's also good to use the media and try to show that our sport is way more than just trying to die. And
yeah, absolutely.
And also, like, the community around it is amazing. It's worth knowing that you can travel and meet a lot of people all around the world. So, like, all those good sides that people usually don't see, we also try to bring it up with cool pictures, videos, and, you know, like, trying to bring some connection all around the world.
Sure. Well, I mean, I remember when I first started skydiving, the reputation was the same in the States. If you said you were a skydiver, you were reckless and crazy, and it got me laid a lot, which was great because, oh, he's a badass. He goes and jumps out of airplanes. And all everybody thinks of when they think skydiving is they see the videos of all the really crazy stuff, and they assume that you're doing that. So I rode on the backs of giants flying down fucking mountains and doing stuff like you did just because I said I was a skydiver. But then as you get older, you're like, oh, wait a second, I don't want that reputation because I want to be able to finance the car and I want to be able to, you know, do normal stuff. So it's nice that it's getting to a point where we're starting to portray skydivers as also responsible adults that are maybe just a little bit bent. Just a little bit.
Oh, you have to be.
We need that.
Yeah, right? I mean, what would skydivers be without being a little bit crazy?
For sure. But I just had a very, very interesting conversation with the new manager of iFly São Paulo, because we stop there as well. Every time we go somewhere and there is a wind tunnel, we of course jump in the tunnel, and it is the guy. This guy is not from skydiving world. As he noticed that every countries that have the word paracaidismo, paracaidismo, parachutismo, para whatever, somewhere in the people's mind is like, it's to stop the free fall, stop the chute libre.
Right.
So it's kind of a scary thing. Maybe it's contribute in a way of being a scary thing and for crazy people. And he discovered that in English world, the skydiving, it's always cooler way of doing the same sport. So he changed the whole decoration, all the inside of the iFly São Paulo, for experiments in zero gravity. Like he put some spaceman everywhere, astronauts, and he said, "Oh, come here to discover what it is to be in the air, with zero gravity thing,
Sure.
but not like free falling, like falling from the plane." And he doubled with this publicity, he doubled the people who come in the tunnel.
You start to change that stigma, right? Because people are, that was one of the things that I always fought as a tandem instructor. People would be so nervous because they're terrified of the thought of falling, because all they know is what it feels like to fall off a ladder or fall down something where you still feel that falling. And it's impossible to explain to someone that's never done it that, no, that is not what free fall is like. If you could take the falling out of it and just free something, and it changes people's perspective. And you would always get the same look. People will go, "Oh, fuck you, bullshit. Of course you feel like you're falling." And then they land and go, "Holy shit, you were right." Yeah, but it's all in changing that perception. So if you can do it before the actual jump, then I think it would change a lot, for sure. And the wind tunnels have done a lot for changing that perspective as well, right? I mean, they've changed people's minds in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the thing is, the best picture for me is watching a kid flying in a tunnel.
Yeah.
Everybody's forget because it's so cute. He's a small guy waving everywhere, and it's like the proof there is no question anymore about any planes. It's not about, he jumped from a plane. No, it's just a kid flying with the fluid, and it's beautiful. So, yeah.
What I usually say to people before the skydive is like, imagine that you're going crazy fast on the highway, like way too fast to be caught by the police. And then, you don't want to be caught by the police. And then you open your window and you stick your arm outside. Imagine the resistance you need to put in your arm to go against the wind. And I'm like, well, this is the cushion of air that you're going to feel everywhere of your body, on your body. So you're not going to feel like you're falling. You're going to be like taken by this air,
Yeah.
So.
I used to explain to people that you'd get a disorientation as you left the airplane. It was kind of a what's up, what's down. Yeah. And then you're going to feel like you're floating the entire time. And you would always get the standard, but then the camera guy, he goes back up, or the tandem goes, how far back up do you go? And you're like, all right, well, this is going to be a tough one. And you try and explain everything that's going on.
So you got to explain skydiving and the laws of physics.
Yes, absolutely. You have no idea how many times I've actually had to tell people you don't go back up when the parachute opens.
No, you don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
We all know about the situation.
Absolutely. It is, but it's entertaining as well because it's almost cute. You're like, oh, look at you. When you have to fix it, But then they go and experience it. But again, that boils back down to the social media and the portraying skydiving in a real light as opposed to the craziness that people assume it is. And unfortunately, there's still activities in skydiving and places that aren't representative of what we want. So it's guys like you that are pushing hard with social media presence that help in a major way. Not to mention, it makes your fucking sponsors look good, right?
Yes.
I mean...
Well, they make us look good, so...
Yeah,
gotta help
exactly.
Yeah, well, let's go throw a quick shout out to NZ Aerosports because, fuck yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I actually, and again, pre-podcast, I was asking you guys because I love the branding on your canopy. And there's a great shot of you. I think it was in Egypt. And you're kiting. Maybe it wasn't Egypt. Maybe it was the Maldives, which is another place I hate that you guys got to go to and I didn't.
Could have also been Brazil or even Namibia.
Fuck off. Yes, this one. That one. And then there's one where you're kiting it on the ground with everybody standing and it's NZ Aerosports. Fuck yeah. Which clearly fits my branding really well. It's funny to see that you guys have got a sponsor that is so free with being able to do stuff like that, and clearly you guys are having a lot of fun with that.
Yes, we just love, since the very beginning, we love the spirits. I mean, of course, we love all the canopies they build. That's obvious. But we also love the family way of proceeding they have. I don't know if you heard about this, but most of the time on Friday they try to finish earlier a little bit on Friday, so they can just all have a beer all together in the manufacturing.
Which is
how
amazing.
cool is that? Like whatever you're doing in the factory, you just takes 5 minutes to spend time together.
And also, like when we were in Australia for the World Championship, they had like the coolest stand where after the jumps you could go and have snacks and have massage and talk around with the glass, and it was really, really cool. And there was this other competition somewhere where we could have a beer over there, and it was really, really nice. Like
After the jumps, of course.
After the jumps.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, no, I think it's a company like NZ Aerosports went from being the little guy to now kind of neck and neck, right? I mean, you think of two canopy manufacturers now. It's PD and it's NZ Aerosports. But they started out as the little guy. And I think one of the reasons that they got there is incredible fucking designs and that mentality and keeping it like a family. And clearly they have a blast doing what they're doing. Because I watch Chris Stewart putting up the videos that he puts up, and it's fucking hilarious. The guy's a goddamn actor running around that just happens to jump out of airplanes. And if you're listening to this podcast, you listen to his lead-in, which is straight out of Train Spotting, which is fucking fantastic. Again, I love it.
So yeah, if you don't know this thing, I'm gonna tell you a short story, very amazing. I make it short. Julian Pillman, the French guy, the designer of the Petra and the Leia.
We love you.
We love you, Julian. He was just there in New Zealand. He was already, of course, aeronautic engineer, but he wanted to extend his visa and stay a little bit more. And he knocked at the door, and he met Giro, and he said, "Oh, can I work? Because I can work in everything in aeronautic stuff." He said, "Yeah, of course." So you can see how open mind is the guy. So Giro straight away said, "Yes, of course, come here, and you're gonna extend your visa. No worries." And for a week, he was doing just the line set, because it's the thing you can do. That doesn't mean you have to be an expert, of course. It's very precise, but that's the first thing you can do in a manufacturing. And just on the next Friday, as I was telling you, we can have a beer all together. Giro was like, "Oh, how was the week?" And he started to talk about all these ideas he has in mind about improving canopies with the all the shapes that exist now in the fast one that you can have when you do from the cliff
The speed flying.
Speed flying, thank you. And Giro was like very impressed about all the things was out of his mind, this young French guy, and he said, "You know what, next week forget about the line set, just spend the whole week putting your nose everywhere you want in the manufacturing. Just check everything, and we talk again next Friday." And the next Friday, he said he came with the list that everything he could improve from his point of view, and he said, "Okay, now I hire you, and you're gonna design your own thing." And this is how the GPX arrived, and GP means, of course, Julian Pillman.
Yeah. I mean,
Busted.
he was such a chill, humble guy when I talked to him for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And you would think, because, I mean, the Petra quite quickly became the monster canopy in the sky. I mean, it was the holy shit. Oh my God, they're flying that. And you watch this thing come in and land. And he's so chill about the fact that he designed it. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm having a little trouble making the better one because we kind of got it right the first time." But he's trying to be humble about it, and I'm a little excitable, so I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I'm scared to watch that thing land. It's too fast." And it was just super cool that he was that chill and humble about it, and he's not, trying to brag about the fact that he put this canopy out. He's sincerely trying to figure out how he can make it better, which is, fucking cool.
He's a true legend, that guy.
Yeah, but that's even more beautiful when you think about it. Giro, beautiful human being.
Get to fly it.
And Julian Pillman, beautiful human being, like two human who met together in New Zealand, and now we have all this cool canopy thanks to him.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, that's one of the things that has always been so fascinating about skydiving is that this whole idea of 6 degrees of separation. With skydiving, it's 1.5 degrees of separation. If you know 3 people, they know the whole rest of the sport. And so very quickly on, you start to hear about this person and that person, and you know someone before you meet them. Years before you meet them, you know all about them. And it's great because you're just dude, I know everything you've done. I might not recognize the face, but as soon as you start talking and you're already just friends like that, you know what's going on. That's skydiving in a nutshell. Is it's such a tight community.
You know everything I've done?
Don't tell your mom.
I wasn't going to bring that up on the podcast.
Does that involve a kilt?
Maybe.
Kilt?
Oh
How
yeah,
do you say
kilt.
that?
Kilt.
Kilt.
Oh yeah, one of the things we're going to do, I'm going to buy Greg a kilt, which if you don't know is the traditional Scottish dress, which some people think is a skirt, but it's not. And we have a knife in our sock just to cope with that exact eventuality.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we're going to take kilts in the wind tunnel and we're going to fly. And basically,
But the
how much
question
money
is,
you pay is
are you going to wear
it?
it traditionally?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no, of course. Which means no underwear. And if you want, we can fly head up or we can fly head down. And
Okay,
how
so-
much money
You
you
have to fly
pay
both?
depends on that.
So why no chonies? Why no fucking underwear?
I don't really know.
I think
I
it was
guess
tradition,
too
I think.
expensive
Maybe
back
it's
in
too
the
warm
days.
for
Is it
Yeah,
just
it's too warm. Exactly.
is it just
yeah.
an ease of access thing?
Maybe, yeah. You
Fair
might
enough.
have hit the nail on the head there.
Because you drink so much, like you don't even have to pull something down. You just go for
Makes
it.
sense.
Well, as a California American with very little history to it, I'm always jealous of cultures that have a lot of rich history to it. So I was always jealous of all the European countries as well because there's so much tradition and everything. And so you see a guy in a kilt, and all I think is James Bond because you've got. He did the big premiere and he showed up in his kilt and the
Sean
tux
Connery.
top and everything. Sean Connery's fucking
Yeah,
amazing,
yeah.
and he's the epitome of the Scot and same with the French as well. You've got this culture, and then I'm just from California, so I was always jealous of that shit. So I never thought that kilt was a bad thing. I thought it was cool as fuck.
And
I just
Beach
can't wear
Boys.
one.
Yeah,
don't
I was
need
gonna
anything.
say the French look up for California because you have all the surfing history.
Yeah,
And,
but see, that's
you
the
know-
thing is you like California for the location. I like France and Scotland and all that for the culture. Big difference.
Well, like our name comes from the sex wax, so actually
Yeah,
there's
Airwax
a little
from
bit
the
of
sex
history
wax
over there.
from
Actually,
California.
that was actually one thing that I forgot to fucking ask about on the first podcast was where the name came from, and now the name came from Sex Wax. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did that come about?
We brainstormed a lot because it's part of, when people come to me and ask me tips for building a team. I actually take time on this point. Like choose a name. It's not something that. It's not nothing to find a name that's going to represent your team. It's going to show you how serious you take your team and stuff. So, and for us, we wanted something that was linked with the nautical activities with the sea. I was a yacht captain. Karin was a designer in the yacht industry as well. We are both doing surf and scuba diving. And our videoman in the days, Tony, he was semi-pro on the windsurf, and also he was doing a little bit of kitesurf. So everybody was spending half time in the water. So we said, we definitely need to find some things also referred to the sea or something. And brainstorming, we came with this thing that we thought about the sex wax, which was a brilliant idea. The guy became a millionaire with this. Back in the days, the wax was just rectangle shape, just all the same size for everybody. And he said, make it round. And instead of wax, whatever, I just gonna call it sex wax. Just it grabs the attention of people. It was nothing to do with sex, but it worked perfectly. And you put yellow, red, a lot of color and blue and stuff. So it was just brilliant. And we say, even the logo, it's round. So just put air instead of a sex, and we have the coolest name. And it was just like this, Airwax.
And that was before we've done our first training in Eloy, where they were calling our team in the microphone, being like, "Earwax."
Earwax.
Yeah, master.
Shit, we didn't think about this one.
Hey, if there's any way to bite at you, it's going to come from a skydiver.
Oh, yeah, for
Somebody's going to find it.
But I must admit, actually, the first time I ever saw the logo Airwax, Before I met these guys ever, I thought that's a damn good idea.
Oh,
Look at that. Look at
I
that.
saw a sticker on the plane somewhere, and I'm like, man, that's a good team.
Look at that. The nod
That's
from the
good.
teammate that you didn't see coming.
Thank
All right. So how did you guys end up forming a team together? How does a scout end up with a couple of Frenchmen?
So that's also a thing that only few people knows. We finished the World Championship in 2018, and Baptiste, our video man in Australia, was not sure he was about to continue or not. He was already super tired of doing all this training and competition and stuff. And we already knew that we're gonna enjoy now to be world champion, to travel a bit more, and to do more than just training. So we say, we're going to finally say yes to do Angle Week in Sweden, to do maybe the pyramids, because we missed already the first edition of the jump over the pyramids, jump like a pharaoh. So I said, okay, now we're going to enjoy a little bit more. So we definitely need a professional photographer. This was for me like mandatory. If you want to take you seriously, like I was saying. So we want professional things, not only screenshots.
Yeah.
So I met already Yuan a year ago. He was in the training he was actually the official attendant. No, even before. But I met him in the French record before, and we worked as well on the world record. So I could tell the guy was super sweet, super nice, extremely pro. Yeah, very polite. I cannot tell anything bad about this guy. He's again another beautiful human being.
He drinks a lot.
Yeah. So I said, hey, if we have to do anything with a photographer, there's nothing better they can find than this Scottish guy, even if he
Cheers.
was a kilt,
Look at that.
Yeah, cheers, bro. Oh,
You're empty.
yeah, almost. I was gonna tell you to make the noise.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Yeah, I love you, Iwan Koi, but you already knew.
So we're going to backtrack a little bit because I missed a good fight that I saw coming about social media, and I'm not letting it go. So I asked about the social media, and Greg, I know that you primarily are the one doing the social media. Karen clearly either has a different way of thinking about it or wants it done a different way. I want to find out what's going on because I saw some friction there. Oh, yeah, get that cork out.
Okay, I'm gonna do the French way.
We can
Wait.
do...
Do the French way. Okay.
Important things.
No, it's not.
Yep, we're waiting. It's the anticipation.
Okay.
Here we go.
Pomerol 2006.
Here we come.
Like say Elon Musk, ready to go in space.
Look at that. Look at that.
Almost as good as a whiskey cork.
So maybe you want to start, Greg, about the media.
No, please. I prefer.
So yeah, I like I told both of you guys pre-podcast. I really do appreciate how well you guys do with social media because you're quite active, much more so than I am. As much as I can try and handle it because it drives me nuts. So what's the different theories you guys have got going on in regard to? Wait, pass that bottle around. There you go. How do you go about social media, and what doesn't she like about it?
Okay, I come from a very small town, very tough. So maybe I build all my life around this thing. Like I was frustrated a lot about a lot of stuff, and I was always fighting to get what I wanted in life, and I learned this when I was very young. So when we became world champions, I discovered that this title was opening many doors for us, obviously, but not all of them, which is nice if you don't need, if you're not demanding in life. But I was like, no, our main job now is to be ambassador of a sport, and even still there, I was like, but it's very hard because now we have this new title of being ambassador, but it's, even people who are supposed to make interviews or whatever, doesn't need to be on TV, just on newspapers. Sometimes they don't even show up, or they are. So I was like, no, we need to be more recognized. And then I realized that we didn't have that many followers, obviously, because it's a small sport. I discovered that it's already only 500,000. It's only 500,000 people who are very involved in sports. It's not a big number.
No.
If you take karate, if you take handball, I don't even mention soccer, obviously, but it's not a big sport. So we have to work even more to make people look at our sport. And then it was we fight to be on the Olympic Games 2024. So I worked a little bit with the French Federation for that, and I discovered also that it was very hard to fight for a file as a French Federation. Like we were five sports to be new sports to be maybe appearing on the next Olympics, and surprisingly they ask, "Oh, tell us who are your 10 best athletes on Instagram." The very people of because it was not that stupid. They wanted to know how we weigh in the world as a sportman, and we discovered like thank God Maya was almost 90K back in these days. But it was nothing. Yeah. So it was even another extra proof that we need to work way more on everybody as athlete at his level has to work more to promote himself, and it doesn't require that much. Like I try to explain people, if you have a cool event somewhere, let's say you were in Namibia with us, for sure you're gonna have your 9 best pictures or your 12 best pictures. So you already have 9 days or 12 days of posting. It's already a lot, because posting for 9 days in a row, 12 days in a row, it's a lot. If you put the good hashtags and the good ads for everybody, you already gonna help the whole industry. You don't maybe even think about it, but yes, you're gonna do it. So this is why I try to do at my level, obviously to make all my sponsors very happy, and also I take time to talk to people who don't do it like good. I try to give them good advice, and I try to push them to do it on their own.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's still all very new to everybody. I mean, granted, I'm older than you guys, but I remember a time before the internet, long before the internet, and the slow creeping of it coming up, and it almost overnight went from this thing you kind of used every once in a while, and maybe it would work, and if you were trying to pull up dirty pictures, it'd take 30 minutes, and you'd just give up anyway. It'd take forever. Yeah, absolutely. You're just watching the picture, go click, 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 and see how far you could make it before. Yeah, anyway. But all of a sudden, it's bam, you're potentially reaching God knows how many people, and funny enough, it doesn't go anywhere. So if you do it wrong, it sticks with you forever. And so everybody's kind of learning as they go, and social media has been a blessing and a curse, but I think for skydiving especially, or more obscure sports, it's a real blessing because it gets it out there in a way that it never would otherwise.
Exactly. I mean, look at it from the point of view of how did people know about skydiving 15 years ago? When I started, it was Point Break, Drop Zone, stuff like that. Now it's then it kind of went through the YouTube stage, I think, with people doing the wingsuit proximity, and that became like super popular. And now it's kind of taken off a lot more. It's becoming a bit more mainstream. Like people are seeing things that we do, which isn't, maybe the most incredibly adrenaline pumping thing, like the wingsuit proximity stuff. But it's beautiful. It's in places that are amazing.
It's awe-inspiring. Right.
Yeah. And I think we're in a situation where we have a really powerful ability to bring that to the people.
Sure.
And they're not aware of it, but we're trying to make them kind of force them to be aware of it.
Well, I mean, just the fact that you guys are able to do some of the jumps you're doing in the locations that you're doing them is proof that that message is getting out there. Skydiving is so much more You're jumping over the pyramids. With any luck, knock wood, I might get to jump over Everest this year, for Christ's sakes. I mean, these amazing things happen all because skydiving has gotten into the consciousness of the general public, and that's through stuff like what you're doing. Now, that being said, I know you work super hard at it, but I know that you...
Try to work super hard at it.
Yeah. So what's the difference between you guys?
So obviously, like I completely agree with this perspective. Like the world is increasing and evolving super fast, as you were saying. Like we're the generation that saw the beginning of computers, and now we're into like all those media going crazy. Like I don't even know what's Snapchat really doing, but I hear about it, and I don't want to feel like old before I'm actually old. So I guess it's really important to keep a foot on what's going on actually, and obviously. I went into Facebook using it because it was easy for us to talk about an event in skydiving and have all the people joining the group for the event and everything. And then Instagram came out, and it's actually it's actually Vanya from Turbulenza that kind of forced us to get a page on Instagram. And we're like, come on, who's going to look at it? We don't need that. And she's like, yeah, you need it. I'm like, okay. So we set a foot on that. And actually, I'm really glad that she insisted on doing that, because today it's all about Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you want to communicate with the next generation, this is their way of communicating. So if you don't use their way, how do you want to be seen, or how do you want to talk about our sports? You know? So this is really important. I recognize everything around that. But to me, it's kind of like a big effort, as I really like to enjoy more the moment. And for me, it's like taking pictures. It's nice to have pictures, but also while you take pictures, not in the sky, but like when you go to a party or, like a nice place, I'm more the one that will try to enjoy the energy at this moment, and the everything, the smell, the colors around you. And taking a picture extracts me from this moment.
And I completely agree with you in that. I've found myself at times having to force myself to, when I did my trek to Everest Base Camp a year and a half ago, I finally had to pick days when put your fucking phone away, because I was using it to take pictures, and I was finding I was spending more time looking at the view on my phone than I was at the view in front of me.
Exactly.
I want the pictures for the memories, and I don't take the pictures really to post them on my Love Me wall or anything like that. I want those memories, but eventually I had to go, well, wait a second, you don't have Alzheimer's yet. So take a couple of pictures and put it away.
Yeah, for me, it's a fine line to actually find. It's like a balance to find, where, of course, it's super important to do what Greg is excelling at, for the social media, but also like try to find some, like, it shouldn't take you away for all those very human moments. And I think it's a line that we need to still find.
Yeah, find the balance. I do everything in excess, that's for sure.
I think actually I've got some comments that I'd like to say.
Oh, toss it out.
Okay.
No, because it's kind of in a few different
Wait,
points.
hang on,
kind
first.
of touched on.
Cheers, by the way. This is fucking delicious wine.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Cheers. All right, here we go. All right.
Santé.
Yeah. No. So basically, a little bit of background. I went to Brazil to visit Greg and Karine. They were already there, and we went basically to do an event, the Eternal Fly on Eternal Edition, and then we did the jumps in Copacabana as well, which was awesome. But it was meant to be a 3-week trip, and 8 weeks later, I'm still on the go, which is awesome. But it means I've got 8 weeks of photographs and videos, which I haven't had time to edit. And one of the things that people don't appreciate so much about being a photographer is that every day you take pictures, you probably have a day or 2 days of editing. So I still have a lot of editing. So basically, if you think you've seen some nice pictures from what we've done in the last few weeks, you haven't seen nothing.
That's fucking awesome. That's good.
That's a teaser. Beep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great teaser. I like that.
So, watch this space.
It's funny that you say that, because I used to do a lot with an SLR and used to really try and be active with photography. And I took a nice camera with me when I went to go hike Everest, and I ended up taking all my pictures on my iPhone.
Yep.
Because it was just so much easier. But I would intentionally, because I knew I would finish this month-long trip through the Himalayas and have a fuckload of pictures that I'd have to try and do something with, even if it was just to file them away the way I wanted. So at the end of the day, I made myself go, crap, this is good, crap, and just almost like Tinder, but with pictures. Like, no, oh yeah, no. And just get through them, because I would have been stuck with a pile. So I can't even imagine knowing what you guys have been doing. You were Namibia, you were Maldives, you were over the pyramids, you were Brazil, and you've got all those pictures unedited? Fucking hell.
Well, some of them are edited, but we had to buy another 5 terabyte hard drive at the airport because we ran it. But so there's going to be a lot of good stuff.
Jesus.
I tried to keep, because of, obviously, we're talking about social media, and it's important to, do some things strike while the iron is hot,
sure,
you
of
could
course.
say. So, we always try and have some pictures, but, at the end of the day, I'm like, just looking through the photos. Okay, that one's pretty good. Okay, that one's good. Taking 1 or 2 pictures and just editing them quick.
Right.
Because Greg is always like, just one picture. That's all I need.
Well, it's funny, because every time I pick up my phone, it's fucking Greg's got another live chat going on. There's another live video from Greg. Holy shit, this guy just doesn't stop.
No, he doesn't stop, exactly. And one of the things that Karine said about enjoying the moment, like, actually, as a photographer, you might find this weird, but my luxury is actually not taking any pictures.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I can totally hear you on that. I did a safari in Africa with my family, and I started realizing that I hadn't actually seen any animals. I just looked at them through my fucking camera lens, and I went, no, okay, I got to stop.
Exactly.
And put it down and go, holy shit, that's a lion.
Yeah.
You know, it was much more fun.
So like obviously we really need this for communication, but I have to say also the good side of putting all those pictures, it's not really, it's not to show off like, hey, look what I get to do, and look at me here and look at me there. It's more about like sharing also, you know, all those cool things that we get to do when people are locked down. It's not to be like, haha, you know, it's more like, okay, try and project you in the picture and get you in that moment that was really nice, so you can kind of like travel from where you are. And actually, it's working, because we have so many messages lately of people thanking us because they managed to travel through our pictures and through our videos, and it was actually super nice to receive all those really cool messages.
Well, one of the pages that I followed on Facebook, especially during the lockdown, was "What is it you see out your window?" And people are posting these amazing pictures. These are people that are sitting in the Alps, and they're taking pictures out of their front yard, and these stunning pictures, or people that are in this amazing desert landscapes and all this spectacular stuff, or even just this beautiful garden that someone made in their backyard. And it went from, I think, a few thousand followers to a couple 100,000 followers just over the few months that we were locked down, because people were so hungry for something other than their fucking living room and Netflix. Right? Yeah. So it's the same thing. Your guys' pictures and the stuff that you guys put up, there's a big difference between that guy that's the jackass with his thumbs up trying to show how cool he is, and you guys that happen to be in this spectacular image doing something that the average Joe and Jane can't imagine doing. That's not, I don't consider that showing off. That's fucking art. It is. I mean, come on. The stuff that you guys are doing over the pyramids. I mean, yes, you're making a skydive, and it's a cool skydive and all that stuff. But your abilities in free fall and your ability with the camera produces something that's just spectacular. It really is.
Thank you. We really appreciate. But yeah, for sure. Like sometimes people just see us over the pyramids or in Maldives, for example. But the teams who build this operation to jump over the pyramids and Maldives is the same. Is Skydive Egypt, and they both asked us please come so we can tell people that you're gonna be there.
Sure.
So this event can exist, and It was not that easy. They had so many cancellations because many people were scared to travel, which is, of course, we can understand, but also maybe not the best thing to do, because if you have an excuse to do a sport escape, it's not anymore vacation, and normally you can go through the border with that.
Yeah.
So it's another advice I give to people right now. Don't just stop to live. If you have the COVID or not, still you're going to be in the plane with your mask and washing your hands every 10 seconds, even if you have it. So just take your precaution and continue to live a normal life as much as you can, of course.
It's funny the fears that we pick to focus on, right? Because, I mean, you're talking about a bunch of skydivers that decide that they're too nervous to travel to go jump out of fucking airplanes.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Right? So it's it's a little bit confusing, and I completely understand it. You know, I mean, the fears in regard to skydiving are known fears, and as trained skydivers, we, for the most part, know how to handle pretty much anything that's coming our way, and COVID's this little bug that may or may not fuck us up really bad or kill us. So I guess I understand those fears, but there's a way to mitigate those fears just as much as you do with skydiving, and then you go live your life, right?
Yeah.
And for sure, and for me, it might sound light or easy, but that's really the back of my mind. So we do all these lockdown and shut down everywhere and prevent people from getting out, and in the name of the living, trying to save life. But what is living? You know, living is not just being stuck on your couch and watching Netflix all day. So if you want to live, just living takes risk.
Sure.
You know,
Well, and there's being frivolous and stupid. I mean, obviously, when the pandemic first hit, the smartest thing that everyone could have done was exactly what they did. You lock down, you sit down, you get a handle on it, right? And when it gets bad, you lock down again if need be. and you take the precautions that you need to, and you do the vaccines, and fuck you if you don't think vaccines work. Let me just put that out there. No, I mean, it's good to see that you guys were out doing it. And again, I haven't been able to travel more just because the time that I was locked down restricted me work-wise, and so now I gotta get the job done while I have the opportunity. So I'm jealous and kind of hate you guys for being able to travel and do all this cool shit. But as soon as I get the opportunity to safely travel, and wear the masks and take the precautions and do all that, then absolutely do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, for us, actually, our lives, our work lives are travel. Like we have to travel for work. So being stuck I live in Imperial Brava in Spain, and being stuck there in the summer and locked down, not working, was pretty difficult for me. So like Greg said, we went to Egypt the first time. It was like a trial to see if we could do an event. And I remember being in the airport, and it was, I don't know, it'd been almost a year since I'd flown, which for me is very, very unusual. And and the airport was deserted, all the COVID restrictions, and it was kind of very scary.
Sure.
But then after that, it was okay, it works. We got the COVID test, everything was good. We traveled, it was fine, and we came back, got another test, because actually after that, I went to Dubai, and so I'd gone to Egypt, not got COVID, had another test, it was fine. I was like, okay, that's good. And then basically we've been traveling now for 2 months in I don't know how many different countries, and everything's been fine. We've been mingling with other people, taking precautions where necessary, but also being skydivers and
what a fucking life,
hugging people and all that, and
what a life.
It's been fine.
This is life.
Everybody in this room at one point decided to jump out of an airplane. Just once, just to for whatever reason, which has led to sitting in this little maid's room that I've turned into a studio, drinking amazing red wine and talking about traveling around the world, meeting cool people and jumping out of planes. Are you kidding me? Whatever version of the Matrix this is, it's a fucking good one.
It's the best one.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
This is the program. I want this version of the Matrix next time. It's perfect. It really is.
We have pretty cool jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, actually, you're the one person I haven't gotten to ask. How'd you get started in skydiving?
Well, actually, I was at university in Edinburgh in Scotland, and
What were you going to be when you grew up?
I still haven't grown up, but if
Good
I
man.
did grow up,
Good
it would
man.
have been a geologist, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I studied
Fucking
geology and
I
geography.
love it.
Yeah.
Wow, breaking news.
See? That's my favorite thing about this fucking podcast is you never know what you're going to find out. As soon as you start talking to somebody and find out what they were going to be in a previous life or what they already learned how to do. What about geology? Why?
I just like being outdoors.
Cool.
I like the kind of natural world I always have. And basically, as a course, it taught me more about how the world came to be, how you go and see a mountain and a valley, and what processes formed that physical environment. And I always find it interesting, and I still think it's one of the best courses you can do if you ever not sure what you're going to do at university. University, as we all know, is about going and partying and meeting
sex,
people
drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to do a course that's cool and you go in interesting places, then geology and geography is a really good course. But so I did that, and then I did a master's in climate change and that sort of thing. But
Wait, that's not real.
That's not yeah, I was gonna say.
The fuck are you talking
it's
about?
like vaccines, man.
Please, the weather on this flat planet is controlled by Bill Gates and the big government.
By the way, can I just say I love your Donald Trump toilet paper.
You like that?
I'm gonna wipe my ass with that.
Please, by all means, take a square.
Anyway, as we were saying, so in the first week of university, they have what's called Freshers Week. So you basically go and you decide which sports clubs you're going to join, or if you're not into sports, like computer club or whatever. And I was walking through the park in Edinburgh called the Meadows, and there was a small plane flying over, and I heard it because it was quite low. It was like 5,000 feet. And I looked up, and I saw these small people falling out. And at first I was like, what the fuck? And then they opened the parachutes, and of course instantly, because I'd seen Point Break at that point,
Right.
I was like, wow, these guys are skydivers. That's incredible.
Yep.
And they landed basically a few hundred meters away from me, and I immediately walked over, and there was a stand for the Edinburgh University Skydiving Club there. And then I thought, right, take my money.
Yeah.
That's it. I want to do that. You know, I couldn't even believe that it was a thing that you could do in Scotland. You know, I
Right.
thought it was a thing maybe you could only do in America. I don't know. And basically, that weekend I went and did my first skydive. But this was in October, 22nd of October, 2002.
A little chilly.
And it was cold, and the weather in Scotland is fucking garbage.
Yeah.
In the winter, it's
seen the
even more
movies.
garbage. So I was lucky to do my first jump on my first weekend. And then after that, I didn't jump for another 4 or 5 months.
Oh, wow.
But we had a bar at the drop zone. And basically, we had amazing parties with full of university student courses
Sure.
every weekend.
Sure.
And so, you know, I had a job working in the bar after a few weeks, and then I was packing other student parachutes.
With one jump.
No, but there was other people jumping because there were so many people who wanted to do static line courses. It was all
Right.
static line at that point. And so anyone who had 0 jumps got priority. So if there was ever any good weather, it was like a couple of loads of, 0 jump people, like we'd never jumped before. And then the weather would get shit when I got geared up for my jump.
Of course.
I actually was in the plane twice before I got to jump second time. And then in March, I did my second jump, and then the weather got better, relatively speaking, in Scotland. And I finished my course in 5 weeks, basically 5 weekends, which was not bad. And I was completely hooked.
Yeah.
Completely hooked.
Wow.
Yeah, but I kept skydiving only at weekends for a long time, and I had a normal job. Actually, I did 6 years of project management in renewable energy.
Jesus.
Yeah, and all that time, I started to work in skydiving, doing tandem videos, and eventually doing AFF. So I was working 7 days a week, basically.
Right.
5 days a week on my normal job, and then 2 days a week at the weekend. And some people will say, "Yeah, it's not work. You're skydiving." But as you know, skydiving is work.
Oh, it's hard work.
Yeah. So at some point, I basically hit breaking point, and I said, "Man, I've got to make a change. I've got to choose one of these," and I chose skydiving.
So you chose a slightly different way to save the planet.
Yeah, exactly. But I figure I put up so many wind turbines that I'm carbon neutral for the rest of my life.
Yeah, well, fair enough, because my carbon footprint's fucking horrible. I've been a Twin Otter pilot I'm actually just about to roll through about 10,000 hours in a Twin Otter, so my carbon footprint's not great. Well, in between the time we last spoke, I will brag a little bit. I hit my 25th anniversary in skydiving. I did 25 years in skydiving, so I'm a lot older than I'd like to admit to. Yeah. That's very cool though, especially the whole geology and the wide range of where skydivers get drawn from. I mean, it's cops and drug addicts and professors and bankers, and you never know what's going to draw people in. It's the coolest thing. Yeah. I mean, let's face it, what we do is kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
And again, it's a small world. Like when for this winter, when we stop once in Dubai, we've been, of course, in flight. And actually, there is a Scottish connection because there is over there a good friend of Ewan, no?
Yep. Freddie, also known, real name Ian Scott MacDonald, but Freddie because he looks like Freddie Mercury. He has a massive nose. And and now also a massive beer belly.
We don't want to know.
No, but he was one of my instructors at the drop zone St. Andrews that I started at.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
It's such a fucking small world. It really is. I ended up being able to, when I was a camera flyer, shooting video for the guy that took me on my first tandem. So that kind of stuff comes back around, which is super cool. And then I've had people that I taught how to skydive. I was lucky enough to be an instructor for a group called the Stone Monkeys that were Yosemite climbers that came out to the drop zone, and they were the worst nightmare. They're like, we want to learn how to skydive so we can base jump. Which is the last thing in the world an AFF instructor wants to hear. But they went on to be extremely accomplished base jumpers and like all hardcore stuff. And you're like, I remember that guy. And so it's super cool how it all comes back around. And just the other day I was able to I had Troy Hartman, and before that I had Joe Jennings on, and was able to talk to guys that when I started skydiving were heroes, and next thing you know, you're just sitting and shooting the shit. Or Omar Al-Hijalan, who I've had in the studio a number of times, and you're like, you're fucking Omar. You're the Omar. And it's super cool because he's just this dude that enjoys jumping out of airplanes, and he's good at it.
Super humble guy, huh?
Right? But that seems to be the best in the sport, seems to end up humble, because one of the things with skydiving is it doesn't take long for the next generation to catch up and get better.
For sure.
Especially now, because of people like you teaching all the kids in the tunnel. Jesus, it's ridiculous. I'm still holding onto the net on my head for dear life, and there's 4-year-olds that are flying circles around me. Come on.
Actually, the daughter of Omar is doing pretty good job.
I know.
She's on her way.
Dunya is a rock star. She even took over because I had the entire family in for a podcast, and she kind of took over the podcast as well.
Nice.
So,
She's awesome.
yeah.
Go,
Yeah,
Dunya, go.
Watch this space. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, the future for air sports in general, but for skydiving and wind tunnel flying is just through the roof.
Yeah.
I do want to ask before we close things out, how is it being a competition team, traveling the world, doing all the stuff that you do, and you're a couple, and you're holding hands? How I kind of expected that midway through the podcast you'd be throwing punches, but you guys are still obviously really a close couple. That's difficult to pull off, but there's a few teams out there that do it. Is there a secret to it, or how do you do it?
Oh yeah, well, of course it's my turn to talk. Obviously, no, it takes a lot of energy. Yeah, no. The thing is, actually, I always said it's kind of harder when you start, but easier for a long time to be a couple. Actually, I try to straight away think about, like, for example, Sarah and Steve Curtis,
Yeah.
and Steve and Magali Braff. Like, there is many couples who succeed having a long experience because they were a couple, because there is so many difficulties. It's too hard sometimes to hold on, especially if you want to do a new wind tunnel like the Braff, or if you want to train both militaries and do organized world record like the Curtis, something like this. It's very hard to. It's very demanding. So if your couple is doing this thing together, if your partner is with you, it's kind of make it easier in a way for a long time. Because if you're alone, it's way harder. There is many times that's going to be like, oh, maybe I should maybe stop doing it because it's too much.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I suppose that also helps gel the relationship because you both understand exactly where the other person's at and what's going on, because it's a similar experience. I was always the other way in that if I had a relationship in the sport, I wanted them to have nothing to do with skydiving, because skydiving, I think it's got to be one or the other, right? It's either you've got to be 100% in skydiving with your partner or have nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
Because either you've got a shitload to talk about in the sport or you've got stories to tell, right?
Yeah. And if you travel a lot, it's pretty difficult, I think.
There's no way.
To find somebody who understands the fact that you're not going to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I'm actually very lucky. My girlfriend she works in the Manifest at Imperial Brava, and she's there full time, although we did manage to bring her actually to the UAE and to Maldives with us.
Nice.
While she wasn't working, but the drop zones is open now. So potentially, she's not going to be able to travel for a while, and I'm going to be away quite a lot, but
Sure.
she's quite understanding about that. So, there's not that many people that are kind of like that, so it's hard to find one, but when you do, I guess
Sure.
you hold on for dear life.
Well, and then of course, I was lucky enough to find somebody outside the sport that understands that she doesn't understand the sport, and she's fine with that. And I like that separation for me, because I like to be able to walk away from the sport. I need my little 8-hour vacation from being in the plane and skydivers, because we can be a handful.
I think it's all it's different from people to people, but I guess for me and probably for Greg, being in a relationship for me is sharing a lot of stuff with my partner. So I couldn't imagine being into skydiving and have a non-skydiver and not sharing all those adventures together. So because this is the way I work.
Sure.
And for sure, when you do a team and you start team training and you see the intensity of the training, living all the time together, it's super boundary thing. So if you do it with someone that is not your partner, for sure it's going to cause trouble.
Sure.
For sure.
Do you guys have boundaries? Hey, this is my time. I need this or that. I mean, I set real solid boundaries just for my own sanity. Or do you guys just do everything together?
No, everything. I mean, it was again we worked to win the world title. That was the main objective, and it comes to a point that nothing else matters. It's very hard to understand our family had a hard time at the beginning. Like maybe it took us 10 years. So maybe the 6, 7 first years, which is the main part, obviously.
Sure.
They didn't understand why we were missing some weddings or very important
Sure.
meetings in the family, and it switched. They finally felt that okay, they work for being world champion, and like the last year was definitely for us doing nothing else than everything for winning. Like everything was focused on that. So if it's not your partner with you, it's I don't know how you can do that.
Well, and especially trying to get that across to family can be really difficult, because if they're not jumpers and they don't understand, and I would get it all the time, and you're working really hard in a sport that someone doesn't understand how you can you make money doing that. How do you you're a skydiver. You just so that's it. That's what you do. And they don't understand that there's kind of a whole world around it, and you can actually do pretty well, but it's difficult for people to understand what the drive is. And I'm sure you guys got that as well. Okay, you're going to be world champion. What?
What for?
Yeah, what is that? What is that? So people know what that is, and so it's kind of tough to describe that drive. So I can understand that. Yeah, first few years of trying to push for such a lofty goal in an obscure sport, because let's face it, it's a small sport. The family must have been like, what?
No, but they got it. But the good thing, I mean, the interesting thing is people still don't totally get it. Like we had so many friends who said, "Oh, now you get it. Just stop. Like just go back on your sofa and do nothing." It's weird. It's like no. We have this energy to leave our sport because
Sure.
we are passionate about skydiving, and of course we still want to jump in the most exotic places and promote the sport.
Sure.
The energy is still here, obviously.
So 20 years down the road, it's a long way, but 20 years down the road, where do you find yourselves? I mean, how long have all of you been in skydiving now?
Me, 18 years. Maybe 19 coming up.
So quite some time.
Yeah.
17 years for me.
And it's going to be 23 or 24.
Okay, so you're all,
Yeah.
I mean, you got a long time in the sport now, but obviously this is it. You know, you've made your choice. So what, 20 years from now, are you running a drop zone on some exotic beach? Are you still jumping, chasing medals? Are you I mean, this is a sport that, quite frankly, you can compete until you can't jump anymore. And there's people jumping in their late 60s and 70s that are still fucking rock stars, So where do you see yourselves?
Definitely, I love this team that I have today, and definitely want to still jump on amazing places. It was a great privilege to jump over Copacabana, but obviously it was not the first time. We are working now on jumping on the first time. Really first time on some very exclusive, special places. So I'm gonna keep this team for sure for doing this. Another thing that I really love to do, and I'm so happy that finally Rook Nelson announced the dates, is the world record. So we now know that 2022 we go again for the 200 way, and we're gonna break this record. That's for sure. This thing I love do. Wind tunnel as well. Like recently, I flew again in huge Abu Dhabi with my friend from Windor, Danny, Cesar, and Alex. And I cannot live without doing this cool stuff. So it's very hard to answer right now how I can see myself in 10 years. For now, I just love being world champions and finally having more doors open, because it's allow me to do even more cool stuff.
Sure.
Not only to be selfish, it's just because every time I get to do cool stuff, I just want to share with my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to do that, and they're so happy to say, "Wow, how was that?" And I can tell the story. So
Absolutely.
I love this. I love this place for sure.
How about you?
Yeah, it's something I've not been very good at my whole life is planning for the future.
It's a bit of a skydiver trait.
Yeah.
Let's face it. Let's face it.
It took a big decision to leave my work. My reasonably successful and steady job
Sure.
to become a full-time skydiver. And my family, like at first, they didn't really understand, but they've always been really supportive. And actually now they're really proud of me that we've been doing some amazing things.
Sure.
Filming world records and stuff like that. And, they're super proud. But as Greg said, I don't know, it's hard to see the future. I just hope that, skydiving continues to expand and do amazing things. Like, I think it will.
Sure.
I think it's going to, the people want to. One thing that the traveling we've been doing the last 2 months has shown me is that people still want to do stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as the Maldives event opened, like some of the guys from the UK couldn't travel because it was really difficult. It was actually illegal, I think, to travel from the UK without a really, really good reason. But there was other guys coming from other countries that helped to make up the numbers, and people just want to travel and fly, and skydivers, we're desperate to jump. So I think, we're going to keep doing stuff. It's going to be beautiful.
I think one of the things that the pandemic has done has put an exclamation mark on people's desires to do different things, and people that might have never decided to go jump out of an airplane or trek through the mountains or do something quote unquote extreme are now thinking, fuck, I could be dead tomorrow. I might as well go out. And this is a realization that a lot of people don't ever have. You get stuck into the 9-to-5 slog and you never really come to grips with the things that skydivers consider basic knowledge. I could be dead tomorrow, and that's something that skydivers have to come to grips with pretty quickly if they're going to be skydivers. This shit might not work out, so let's make the most of it. And I think this pandemic has kind of put that exclamation mark in people. I think it's sparked a lot of passion in people that might not have been there before.
And I think you're right, actually, because if you think about it, before, when you weren't in lockdown, you always had the ability to skydive. But, I'll do it next week, I'll do it, whatever. As soon as you have that ability taken away, you're in lockdown and literally you cannot go outside.
Oh, yeah.
These things become super precious.
Oh, yeah.
I think. And actually, I think we're going to see actually a lot more skydivers and people doing, like you say, doing extreme sports and things that they've been denied, absolutely denied for the past
the stuff that
6 months.
the passionate stuff that people just pass on because they can do it next year or the year after, or they're saving for that big thing. And I'm not advocating blowing all your money and going and doing stupid shit. I'm just advocating blowing some of your money and doing a little stupid shit. But yeah, it's cool though that the answer to the question of where you're going to be in 20 years is I don't know, but hopefully it still involves this. That shows how much, especially after all these years, that you guys dig it. And that your families have accepted the fact that this is you and this is what you do and the things that you're into. And same with mine. Eventually they were like, oh, thank God he's just jumping out of airplanes now. It's nice that you've kind of reached a point where the sky's the limit, no pun intended. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, now, before we wrap things up, are there any events people need to know about? Give all the information on how they track your substantial footprint on social media and keep up with all the live chats. Let them know.
Well, for now, we were just waiting a little bit to see what Europe was bringing on with all the pandemic situation. But obviously, I think it's been really hard for someone to get going and start planning on a big event in Europe right now. So I think the future is going to be what we make it. So maybe we're going to start and do a little bit events here and there, because obviously we need to keep people trained for different world record coming up. We have the French head down world record still on this year. We also have the woman world record project 19, which is an amazing project.
Yes.
We need to keep those ladies training and up to date, so right now the pandemic might have delayed stuff, but it's also an opportunity for some other women that maybe thought they didn't have the level to join us. Well, obviously now you have your time, so if you train in a tunnel and if you come see your regional captain and train with us however you can in the weekends or whatever you get, just go for it, and you never know, maybe you'll have the level on time and you'll be able to enjoy this incredible adventure. So,
awesome.
This is definitely something we should enjoy. And I will be going in Brazil this August for one of the most spectacular place as well to jump in this planet, which is Lençóis do Maranhão. And if you want some info, just private message me. and we'll be happy to get you there.
Awesome. And how do they find you?
You can find us on Instagram, right, Greg? You did a pretty good job on doing that.
Okay. My job to tell the thing. Okay. No, yes, please, of course, follow Yuan Curry Photography Instagram. Very easy to find. It has the same name on Facebook. We can obviously find us on Airwax Free Fly, both Instagram and Facebook. And we also have athletes pages. It's karinjolie.airwax and gregcrosier.airwax on Instagram. And follow the podcast. Listen to all other podcasts because it's very good to learn about good stuff. About all around the world with every athlete all around the world. It's very nice.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys,
Cheers.
in the studio, amazing wine, great stories. Thank you so much for taking the time and being around.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. We'll do
Cheers.
it again.
Yep.
Yeah, next time in kilt, everyone.
I'm down.
In a winter.
I'm down. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot, the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. By Pure Spectrum CBD, head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available, hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.